Hi everyone and welcome to the Business Edge. I'll be your host, Erin Blake. In this episode, Dr. Deniz Appelbaum, Assistant Professor in the Department of Accounting and Finance, will be discussing blockchain technology by answering the question, why aren't more businesses adopting blockchain technology? Dr. Appelbaum, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Erin, for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm glad. I'm very excited. So let's get started.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll take it away now. Basically, this is a topic of great interest to me, although I'm working on a paper right now about why accounting is not adopting blockchains and blockchain technologies. I've already written several papers about some of the topics I'm going to discuss today. And basically, since accountants follow businesses, I feel this is a very appropriate topic for our discussion today. That is, why aren't businesses adopting blockchain technologies and smart contracts? Many businesses are experimenting with blockchain, but few have implemented a DLT or distributed ledger technology. According to a 2019 Deloitte report on enterprise blockchain adoption, 53% of interviewed executives stated that blockchain had become a critical priority, but only 23% have actually initiated a blockchain project, and we don't know how many of these came to fruition. So although blockchain is gaining traction and acceptance in some industries, there are still some challenges that are left that need to be fixed first before we can see a large-scale deployment by businesses in general. So I will briefly discuss some of the issues that I think need to be addressed as a researcher and academic about blockchain before blockchain can be adopted by businesses more broadly. So the first challenge is the technical scalability of blockchain. That is, how quickly can it operate, how large can it scale up? And this is a huge hurdle for public blockchains, which could literally limit their adoption. For example, the Bitcoin blockchain is growing at 1 megabyte per block every 10 minutes and currently has a size of 241 gigabytes, while an Ethereum full archive node, which handles all smart contracts, currently takes up 3 terabytes of data and more. Nodes that want to validate transactions of any kind are required to download the entire Bitcoin blockchain, which could pose a problem in the long run when you start talking about millions of transactions. Of course, there are plenty of other blockchains that are under development now that could take a different approach and maybe require less storage or less power or increase the speed, but they lose some of the features that make blockchain so appealing to some businesses, such as immutability, lack of hacking, or security. So also with the growth of data coming our way, 175 zettabytes per year in 2025, this could become problematic. So this is less of a problem for private blockchains such as Hyperledger, since the nodes and the power required to validate blocks is less of an issue. If transactions, however, cannot be verified in real time or within a short time frame, a business is not going to want to adopt these for many of the fast transactions that businesses require today. And that goes to the second challenge, which is that of speed. So the second challenge is related to the transaction speed of a blockchain. In 2019, the Bitcoin blockchain is still capable of only processing 7 transactions a second, with each taking about 10 minutes to complete, while the Ethereum blockchain could theoretically possess 8. So we're not really looking at a huge scalability here. However, in China, to give you an idea of the context of the current business environment, or at least the e-commerce environment, Alibaba has processed 325,000 transactions per second. And Amazon and Google are also up there with the same amount of transactions per second. Blockchain will take time to reach these levels, obviously. Meanwhile, new DLTs are being developed that offer thousands or maybe hundreds of transactions per second, but again, like scalability, they let go of some features that are important to the blockchain maintaining its domain in business enterprise. The third challenge involves the level of decentralization within the Bitcoin blockchain. The power of Bitcoin lies in the fact that it was designed to be decentralized and that not one centralized stakeholder could control the network. However, today's mining pools control a majority of Bitcoin's collective hash rate. 6 mining pools altogether control over 75% of the mining power, 80% of which is where? Guess where? In China. So this is crazy that we are relying on China to validate 80% of our transactions. The centralization of validating transactions is a logical consequence of how the Bitcoin protocol was developed, as it rewards economies of scale and power. This may not be a problem as long as we can trust China, but I'm not sure about this. Also, in terms of wealth concentration, the Bitcoin blockchain was designed to be available to all for holders of wealth and ability to become more wealthy. However, the Gini coefficient of Bitcoin blockchain is 88. And to give you an idea of the context, this is a measure of wealth inequality. North Korea is a Gini coefficient of 86. So, and most of the Bitcoin blockchain wealth is held in the hands of a few, which concentrates the wealth basically in the hands of a few and not within the collective whole of the Bitcoin holders. So this is an issue basically that goes with mainly with Bitcoin, but also with other currencies. Decentralization could be tackled differently when it comes to private blockchains. Since everyone's known the network, it doesn't matter if only a dozen nodes control the network. However, if they all know each other, there's a bigger chance of collusion. And with the 55% collusion rule, there's a greater chance of fraud. So as an auditor, I'd be very concerned about the chance of fraud in private blockchains. And also businesses would have to therefore have greater governance around the application and deployment of blockchain within the business. The fourth challenge is the lack of talent from an organizational design perspective. So educating employees to work with blockchain takes time. However, it is not yet taught at many universities, and only 50% of the world's top universities offer a blockchain course. As is the case with all new technologies, businesses and academia need to work together to ensure the correct curriculum is introduced. There are already hundreds of blockchain startups, all trying to attract the same limited talent pool. If businesses are faced with a talent pool that is expanding more slowly, then demand is growing. Therefore, businesses may want to embrace blockchain technology, need to have deep pockets to pay for expert salaries, or rely on employees that have only started learning this application. And to further compound this issue, there is yet to be a user-friendly interface to be developed, a la Tableau or like a Microsoft Excel, which is easy for less educated or less informed employees to work with or to develop their own blockchain. So right now it's really in the domain of blockchain geeks, quote unquote. The fifth challenge is the fact that a decentralized ecosystem is required if we're going to deploy blockchain and supporting distributed products in a business. This includes decentralized cloud storage, decentralized archiving, decentralized communication, and decentralized domain name servers. A paper of mine that was recently accepted by Journal of Information Systems discusses the aspect that blockchain would exist on a decentralized cloud environment. It's a challenge for auditors as well as businesses to run a blockchain in that particular situation. Since many of these technologies I mentioned are not really developed, this is also a challenge for business. And we're talking about such issues as infrastructure layers, consensus mechanisms, distributed computing issues, distributed storage issues, privacy and identity concerns, money transactions, wallets. So all transactions in blockchain require a wallet. Exchanges. So again, the problem is that you have a central part of your business residing on a third-party exchange in a cloud environment. And then also industry applications specific to the business. So these are all areas or layers of the blockchain ecosystem in a business that have to be developed before you could deploy a blockchain. The sixth challenge is also one that's industry-wide, not just a business, and that is the energy consumption of decentralized networks. Although there are a variety of consensus mechanisms, the proof-of-work consensus mechanism is still the most used. Proof of work basically requires solving complicated puzzles which use vast amounts of energy. It is estimated that the proof-of-work consensus mechanism in the Bitcoin blockchain currently consumes 66.7 terawatt hours per year, which is comparable to the total energy consumption of the Czech Republic, a country of 10.6 million people, and also the same year. So this is not really an energy-friendly application. The new blockchain initiatives are trying to reduce the power of work consumption by looking at other types of proof mechanisms, such as proof of stake, which basically goes to the type of ownership, the number of tokens you own in a blockchain. But this also introduces political and other kinds of issues that may not be user-friendly. Other types of issues being looked at for proofs are proof of elapsed time, directed acrylic graphs, proof of activity, proof of importance. These are all types of proof of transactions that are being looked at, but they do compromise the original benefits that were being offered as a proof of work. Okay, finally, there are issues that face businesses about adopting blockchain concerning resilience, irreversibility, quantum computing, and hugely, lack of standards. In fact, I would argue that the lack of standards and the regulations in the United States and also worldwide more broadly are the reasons why businesses do not adopt blockchains or have not adopted blockchains to date. And in fact, my colleague Peter Laurie in the accounting department and myself are working on a paper with just that, looking at the different regulators such as IRS, SEC, FINRA, CFTC, and FinCEN, and we're developing what's called token accounting, a forensic accounting perspective of this whole Wild West of U.S. regulations. But to go on to the other topics here, there are challenges related to data on a blockchain for businesses. A resilience or a durability and irreversibility or immutability are two key attributes of blockchains. So once data or transactions are appended and accepted by a network, they can no longer be changed. This is good for an accountant and auditor because as an auditor, I like the fact that nothing can be changed and I have a perfect audit trail. But as a business, numbers need to be a little bit flexible. So I may have figures I need to change on a transaction, a sale there may be a return, there could be a change in a cost, for example. These are all types of numbers that need to be flexible somewhat for businesses, and a blockchain now makes it immutable and unchangeable. And so management may not like this feature of blockchains. And furthermore, only authenticity can be offered through a blockchain, not reliability and accuracy. If bad data are offered correctly, they will end up on a blockchain. Likewise, if a document contains false information but is offered right, it will also end up on a blockchain, but it's wrong. And it may be wrong because of the result of a 55% collusion, or maybe the users, the nodes just don't know that it's incorrect. Or maybe it wasn't validated correctly. So smart contracts, for example, in some cases they require a third-party validator, and this is called an oracle, that validates whether information that's on a physical reality is accurately reflected as a virtual reality in a smart contract. So blockchains work beautifully when we're only dealing with virtual reality, so all digital currency transactions. But when there's a physical reality or physical conditions, this becomes a concern. So in terms of smart contracts, my colleague in the Business Analytics Department, Abdullah Al-Bizri, and I are working on a paper about the Oracle paradox. The fact that in a smart contract, we're still relying on a third party, which could be a person in some cases, who has to validate that component of the smart contract. So in the case of diamond mining, for example, you have some diamond miners, which De Beers, for example, is using a smart contract to validate that the diamonds are not blood diamonds, or that they are not fake diamonds, that they came from a certified pure mine. And the problem with this is that the Oracle at the mine level is a government official in South Africa or wherever, or Tanzania, or wherever the other mines are located. And these governments in these areas, guess what happens? There's lots of briberies that occur in the government. It's a known practice. And so this is not reliable sources of information. So we argue in the paper that a drone or other types of IoT would be a better oracle. And then we also talk about how it can be audited. And also, so although the data on the blockchain will be there indefinitely, we have a problem with quantum computing. So quantum computing allows us to have great power and computations, but that means that eventually somebody's going to hack the blockchain. Controls around data management and governance of who has access. And so basically poor execution of smart contracts and blockchains will result in poor automated decision making and result in problems. And finally, blockchain reduces costs and increases efficiencies due to shared ledger and smart contracts. The lack of standards creates a huge counter effect. So the 5 U.S. regulators who impact this domain, who has jurisdiction, regard digital assets differently, and only the IRS has come up with a definitive rule and regards that as an asset. So standards are important for any network to exist, and I would argue that businesses being risk adverse do not want to use blockchains when they don't know how they're going to land in terms of regulations. This is probably the main reason why businesses are not adopting blockchain on a wide scale or any kind of scale, because they're not sure how they're going to be regulated or impacted by the regulators. And finally, I want to argue that blockchain works best when it's in conjunction with other types of technology, such as drones. So Walmart, for example, for the delivery drones, has a patent out there for tying that delivery to a blockchain. So the idea is that this provides immutable proof that the delivery occurred with that product at that location, and so once a user cannot argue, or a customer cannot argue that they did not receive a delivery. Although we could do this today as well, Particularly with drones, this is a concern because we don't have a human being delivering the product like you do normally. So with that, we're finished with talking about a lot of the topics, and I just want to talk about my concluding thoughts now about blockchain in general for accounting and business. So I feel that blockchain is really basically a promising technology, particularly in conjunction with other technologies. It offers businesses an opportunity to rethink their internal and external processes, remove inefficiencies, improve transparency and provenance, and build a better business overall. However, it faces numerous challenges, which I mentioned already today. And this is basically providing a huge call for research from academics and other researchers and practitioners. We need to solve these issues before blockchain can be adopted by accounting and businesses. With that, I thank you so much, Erin, for your time today.
Thank you for being here. To our listeners, if any of you would like to learn more about blockchain technology, Dr. Appelbaum has recorded a Feliciano Live, which is a Q&A session that we do live on Instagram every week. So that video is available on Facebook and YouTube. Just search Feliciano Business or the Feliciano School of Business, and that video will appear. So we encourage you to watch that and learn more. Otherwise, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the topic. As always, please email your topics of interest to felicianobusiness@montclair.edu or message us on social media. We'll be posting new discussions soon, so be sure to subscribe on Apple and Google. The Business Edge is brought to you by the Feliciano School of Business at Montclair State University. Until next time, I'm Erin Blake, and thank you for listening.